So I am Ken from Cassava Kitchen. To call this a cooking demonstration is generous. This is way too simple to really be called a cooking demonstration. And there is a purpose, a reason behind that, and that is that we North Americans, we love convenience, and one of the many things that my company is trying to do is encourage people to bake at home. So those two things are, in fact, a bit of an oxymoron, especially given that everything that we do is always a simple ingredient list, so there's never any preservatives or additives or no crazy science experiments in the ingredients. It's always in the freezer because it's real food, because it will go bad, so it's in the freezer. So for us to try and square the circle of having something simple, something convenient, something healthy, as well as something that North Americans are going to want to eat, it's a bit of a trick, and this is our attempt. We reserve the right to fail. Our products have been in stores for a long time, and the product that I'm demonstrating today is our bake-at-home dough. So what we've done is we have tried to do all of the heavy lifting. Everything that's difficult is actually in this container. It's fully mixed, you just scoop it out, and it's ready to go. We have made it as simple as possible in the hopes that people will buy it and bake at home. When you do a product that is gluten-free, the fresher the better. It's sort of like I remember as a child when my grandmother used to take me to the local bakery, and we would get fresh bread or fresh rolls. And if they weren't eaten that day, they went into something else. You didn't, have them the next day. They weren't on the shelf for a week. So that's what we're trying to do, which is why I say this isn't really a cooking demonstration. It's way too simple. So the first thing I'm going to do, and these cards are available at our booth, this is a quick batter. So this dough will make anything from a crepe to a pancake and any sort of thickness in between. So what I'm going to do today for you is I'm going to show you how simple it is to make a pancake. And it's, like I say, it's really barely cooking. The other two items, you can see the finished product there. There is a peanut butter and jelly thumbprint cookie. That's a soft cookie. And then there is a 2-bite brownie. And both of those are baked, and I'm not going to bake today because honestly you'd be standing here watching an oven for most of the time, because this only takes, we'll be here for 15 minutes tops, I would say. So this is 200 grams of the dough. I pre-portioned it. As you can see, it's quite sticky, so it is something that what I do at home is I have a little bit of warm water ready beside me in a bowl or a ramekin or even just the tap, so that my hands aren't covered in this stuff. And then once you have your dough, it's really just as simple as adding your liquid. So my list includes everything, including beer. So that might make a good pancake or a good crepe. I haven't actually tried that one. But milk, nut milks, cream. In this case, what I'm going to do is use soda. This calls for 50 grams. I'm just going to guess at it because it really is that easy. So all you're doing is you're just mixing to consistency. So I'll put in a little bit first, and I'm just going to mix it until I have what I estimate to be the right thickness for a pancake batter. I'm sure most people can figure that out on their own. They probably don't need our help, but nonetheless, it is written down. And then once you have the right consistency, you actually have a couple of options. You can very easily add the ingredients. If you want to add flavor, you can add it now, or you can actually sprinkle it on the uncooked side as the pancake is cooking. The only other thing I'm going to do, and I'm choosing yeast, is a 1/4 teaspoon of dry active yeast just to give it more lift. I mean, you got soda water, that's already pretty good. You could add baking soda if you want. And all I'm going to do, this is a quick little pre-mix that I made of dry ingredients. It's coconut, crushed macadamia, and a little bit of coconut sugar. So keeping with a healthy theme. So now I'm just going to let that sit to give the yeast a moment to activate while we're doing this other stuff. And I'm going to turn this beast down because this is pretty powerful. I could get a tan up here if I wanted to. And we'll move on to these other two recipes. So PB&J thumbprint cookies and what we're calling a brownie bite. Same thing. Again, just different consistencies. So what I did here was, we'll start with this one. I pre-portioned the 200 and, well, actually it's half recipe. So this is 250 grams of dough and 50 grams of peanut butter. And it's really that simple. All I did when I made those at home was mix this together. And then I used a mini muffin tin tray, but these little bakeable guys work great too. So, you know, if you would want to, say, make them for a kid's snack or something like that, you can actually bake them in these and send them to school. And so it's just as simple as mixing this. Now this is nice and cold, which is the way it's supposed to be. One of the things that we did find with this kind of soft cookie consistency is it likes to be cold when it goes in the oven. So at home what I did, and because we're not baking, I'll just tell you about it, there's no need to show you, is after I did that 43 seconds of mixing or whatever it was, I put it back in the fridge for 15 minutes and let it get nice and cold. And then all I did was scoop it out. It's basically a heaping tablespoon, gives you about that size. And it had a little, you know, one of these guys full of warm water, and did the thumbprint. And then just a quarter teaspoon of jam, and you're done. And they're about, see, at home it was 26 minutes at 375. Everybody's oven is a little different. That's one of the other things we tried very hard to do with this product, was make it so that the variation of ovens and skill sets, temperatures, convection, no convection, all of those types of things really didn't make a difference. So once you actually had a chance, I'm telling you, do this once with this dough, and any and all recipes you'll be able to figure out. One of the things that I did find when I became gluten sensitive, and that was 15 years ago, not a bad allergy, but bad enough, was that gluten-free baking can be a bit of a science experiment, especially if you're starting from dry ingredients. So I didn't have the really exotic form of flours in my kitchen, nor did I have the things that were gum replacers and leavening replacers and things like that. So this dough that we made, is we're trying to address all of those things. So very simple ingredient list, but again, all done. Yeah, question? No, this is what it is. That's what's in the container. So if you come to our booth, you can see this in the popper form. So these little guys, but the savory ones. And we have all those poppers in both forms. So fully baked, convenience, because that's what we North Americans like. So you just throw those in the microwave even, or oven, toaster oven, air fryer like we're using at the booth. And they reheat in, well, the microwave is 30 seconds, under 5 or 7 minutes in most cases. Or if you choose, you can go to this form and actually start from the dough. And the dough is better value. So that's one of the other things we try to address. Healthy food often is very expensive. And so one of the things with this particular product, we thought not only can we encourage people to bake at home, it's better, it's actually tastier, it's a bit more, you know, it connects your tribe, like feed your tribe. So you spend time with your kids, parties, you can have friends come and help you do it. The other thing is it's a much better value. So I'll just use retail pricing as an example. The poppers in the tall box, if you've seen them at our booth, there's 24 in there, and they generally retail for about $11.99. And that tub of dough has 1,500 grams, so it makes about triple the amount. And it generally retails for $17.99. So for another, what is that, $6? You get triple the amount. So what I tell people is, this is for company, for parties, for canapes, and it stays good in your fridge once it's open for 2 weeks. So out of the freezer into the fridge to thaw, use at will until it's done over 2 weeks. And so this one now that I'm working on is the brownie, and it's this simple. So again, liquid is sort of to eye. It is here, but honestly, you probably don't need it. And all that the wonderful human that figured this out did was melt some chocolate chips in cream over low heat and mix it in, and then add a few more chocolate chips at the end. So we'll just give that a chance to go. And that's it. It's that simple. So without a word of a lie, because I did all these at home, I tested them, start to finish, including cleanup, 15 minutes, maybe 20 if I stop to have a sip of wine in between. You know, that's really about it. And that is one of the ethics, or one of the things that we're trying to do with this business. We want to be part of all of these wonderful healthy changes that are going on in food, but we don't want to lose sight of the fact that food is one of the few things that as a company actually becomes part of your customer, becomes part of you physically, it becomes part of you emotionally, and it becomes part of you in a ritualistic sense. If you become a regular customer, you develop habits around your table in your home involving our products, and we take that very seriously. So if we close our eyes and dream, even here in North America, where we all love convenience, we would love to be the bake-at-home company for vegan, gluten-free, mostly plants, that style of food. Maybe one day replacing, Pillsbury from the 1950s as actually a way to bake at home in a healthy manner. We'll see. The jury is still out on that. Whereas, in Europe, in South America, where the concept of this dough comes from, they're much more likely to bake at home and to do things like that than we are. And I guess the other interesting thing I should tell you about this, because this is not our smart idea, the cassava root, which is essentially the base of most of our products, if not all, hence the name Cassava Kitchen. The cassava root was first turned into a flatbread by the Inca somewhere between 500 and 1,000 years ago. So that is how long cassava root has been consumed as a bread. So it's no wonder South Americans went, huh? What, that's gluten-free? Really? We didn't know that. We've just been eating it for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's not that well known that actually cassava was another one of those products that was taken by the conquistadors to Europe, along with corn and tomatoes and peppers. And now cassava is the world's third largest staple crop when it comes to production of healthy carbohydrates. It has never been genetically modified, and it never will be, because it's a peasant crop. It's very drought resistant. It's very hardy. It grows at altitude. They grow it all over Africa. And essentially that's the reason why, because it's a very, very inexpensive and hardy form. So a little bit too much liquid in this one, but you get the point. And then all we did was add chocolate chips to that and put it in the little mini molds, and away you go. And that's essentially it. So if I wasn't talking so much, it probably would have taken even less time than that. And then the last thing I'll just show you, it's making a pancake. You couldn't get more simple. And thickness will determine whether it's a pancake or a crepe, or I don't know. Is there something in between, a Bellini, a Blintz? I'm not even sure. But essentially, it just goes in the pan like that. So you can kind of see that's pretty much pancake thickness, wouldn't you say? Sorry, say that again? Well, this is the dough, but I flavored it. So I did add coconut and macadamia and a little bit of coconut sugar. Other than that, it was just the dough thinned out with soda. That's it. And again, you could sprinkle it on now. You didn't have to mix it in. Yesterday when I did this, I just poured the dough in and actually sprinkled the ingredients on top and flipped it. Like for my kids, they like blueberry pancakes. And for some reason, they like the uncooked area around the frozen blueberry. So what I have to do is I have to do this, and then I have to put a few frozen blueberries in the middle and then flip it so that the dough around the blueberry is kind of soft still. So go figure, the things we do for our idiosyncratic children who, of course, we love to death. And it only takes about, it's 3 or 4 minutes, right? So there's side one. That's a little light. I probably could have let it go a little longer for the sake of the demonstration. The one thing about this to note, because this is essentially comes from a root vegetable, the texture is a little more like, say, a potato pancake, or I think it's a Blintz. It's not quite as bready, if that's an actual word, as a traditional wheat-based pancake. And that's it. That's literally, so I'm going to shut that off because this is a big, heavy-duty burner. Does anybody have any questions? And I would love to hear, like, who actually thinks that they would try and do this at home? We very much hope that, you people will give it a try. We have, the naked dough is for sale today, and we're also, we're in 118 stores now across Canada. Locally, you can find us in Choices, in Whole Foods, in Nestor's. Palm Natural Market carries us, Donald's Markets, a number of independents, some IGAs, a couple of Fresh Streets. So, we're out there. And our desire is to connect with you over food and give you something. Our slogan is, it's good for you, it's good for your tribe, and it's good for your planet. Thank you very much. And if you do buy some of the dough, we're trying to promote the hashtag Bake Naked. So get on it, people. Thank you very much.